Roach, well, obviously he's a solid fighter, but for me, Tank Davis is in the elite class.
Who wins when a lion clashes with a hawk? In just a few weeks, we'll see Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. go head-to-head in the most anticipated lightweight battle of the year.
Tank is the stimulus check, man. That's our dog. No.
Okay, I like it.
Teddy Atlas talked about the fight and emphasized that only a handful of boxers truly reach the pinnacle of the sport, achieving a level of greatness few can match. In his view, being considered among the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters is no small feat, and it shows just how extraordinary a fighter's skill and presence in the ring must be to earn such a place.
You know, he's just in the higher altitudes of the sport. He's in the top 5 for me. You know, when you talk about the top 5 best pound for pound right now, you're saying so.
These two fighters are already stirring up the heat, and if you thought their upcoming face-off in Houston would be fierce, their virtual war of words has already given us a glimpse of the fire. Davis, with his knockout power and unbeaten record, has been making bold statements, while Roach, the quiet yet sharp tactician, isn't backing down. When they meet in person, expect the tension to explode as these warriors prepare to rip into each other in the ring. Teddy Atlas explained that it's not just raw power or strength that makes him great. Rather, it's the complete package of skills that makes him one of the best. Atlas pointed out how this boxer can adapt to any situation, whether it's countering, attacking, or defending, and that his mental discipline is just as impressive as his physical abilities.
He's there not just because he's a puncher, because he's an all-around package. You know, he can box, he can counterpunch, he can go get you, he can go to the body, go to the head, put punches together. His defense is responsible, he's patient, you know, he's mentally together.
Teddy Atlas further expressed his confidence in the fighter, explaining that his toughness and resilience make him stand out as a favorite, while he acknowledged that anything can happen in a fight, especially against another strong competitor. His belief in this fighter's grit remained strong. He added, "I said he's a tough guy, so obviously I'm going to favor him. Anything can happen when you're in there with another solid guy." Gervonta Davis is a lion prowling the lightweight division, his WBA title gleaming like the crown of the jungle. With each victory, his roar grows louder, his power undeniable as he stands undefeated at 30-0, with 28 of his opponents left in the dust. His knockouts are like thunderclaps, shaking the ring and leaving no doubt about his dominance. Gervonta doesn't just win, he devours his competition, a predator who's mastered his territory. Danny Garcia shared his perspective on the upcoming fight between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr., describing it as a solid matchup. He acknowledged that while Roach is moving up a weight class, both fighters have previously fought at 130 pounds, making them essentially equal in size.
I think it's a good, solid fight. You know, Lamont is a champion. He is coming up one weight class, but Tank fought at 130 before too. So they both really 130 pounders fighting at 135. It's a good, solid fight.
Danny Garcia talked about the pay-per-view potential of the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, emphasizing that Davis's popularity makes the fight worthy of pay-per-view status. He highlighted how Davis consistently sells a significant number of buys, regardless of the opponent, due to his massive fan base. He said, "I think it's pay-per-view worthy because Tank is a ticket seller, he's the draw, so I know he does like 250,000 buys no matter who he fights. So I don't think that's really going to be an issue. People really love him." Danny Garcia analyzed the fight by acknowledging Gervonta Davis's strength and skills, making it difficult to pick against him. He praised Davis for having a solid chin and power, but also left room for unpredictability in boxing, noting that sometimes the underdog has a chip on their shoulder.
Tank is just strong, man. It's hard to it's hard to not pick him because he has great skills. You know, he has a good chin and he's strong. But, you know, I just hope you see a good fight. That's it.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, sometimes the underdog got that chip on their shoulder, and people do have bad nights in boxing. Every night's not going to be a good night.
In contrast, Lamont Roach is like a skilled hawk, precise and tactical, reigning over his own skies at 130 pounds. Roach has sharp vision and patience, carefully choosing his moment to strike, but now he faces the lion in the jungle. Though a champion in his own right, moving up in weight to challenge Davis is like stepping into unfamiliar terrain, where the stakes are higher and the risks are greater. Gervonta Davis's coach, Kenny Ellis, shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight, predicting that it would be a competitive matchup. He emphasized that the opponent's style would be more aggressive. Unlike previous fighters who had a more defensive or elusive approach, Ellis believed that the challenger would come forward, making him easier to engage, and there wouldn't be much room for any drastic changes in tactics during the fight. He said, "I see a nice competitive fight, yeah. He's not gonna fight like Martin, you know. He's got a more come-forward style. You gotta look for him. You know, if he switches it up now, it ain't gonna do too much. You don't have enough time to switch it up." Now, coming to the fight credentials, Gervonta Davis is set to defend his WBA lightweight title against Lamont Roach Jr. on December 14th at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. The fight will be aired on PBC through Amazon Prime Video, though it remains unclear whether it will be a pay-per-view event. Details of the undercard are expected to be revealed soon. Kenny Ellis reflected on the past encounters between Gervonta Davis and his upcoming opponent, highlighting the history they shared. He pointed out that the two fighters had sparred multiple times, with Davis usually coming out on top. However, Ellis acknowledged that both have grown stronger and more experienced since those earlier sessions.
They got amateur history. They fought maybe 2 or 3 times. Tank being the winner. They sparred a few times. Tank got the best of the sparring. They're just bigger and stronger now, you know? Older.
Gervonta Davis has often been criticized for not consistently fighting high-profile opponents, with some accusing his team of cherry-picking less dangerous fighters. While his knockout power and success across divisions are undeniable, many believe that Davis's resume lacks the depth of facing elite competition like Devin Haney or Vasily Lomachenko. Critics argue that his team has protected his undefeated record by avoiding top-tier threats. However, Davis has also stated that several big-name fighters declined opportunities to face him. The debate continues about whether Davis can solidify his legacy against higher-caliber opponents. Kenny Ellis addressed the criticism Gervonta Davis faced for taking on opponents who were perceived as lesser-known or not big names in the boxing world. He defended Davis by explaining that many of the more famous fighters had either declined to fight him or priced themselves out of negotiations.
Yeah, but it's not Tank's fault, you know. The guys with the so-called names, they turn Tank down, they price themselves out. And because people don't know Lamont, he's not as popular, they think he can't fight, but Lamont can fight. And he got a hell of a pedigree, you know, 7-time national champion, and he's tough. He can fight.
Davis, boasting an undefeated 30-0 record with 28 knockouts, last fought in June, where he dominated Frank Martin with his speed and power before securing a knockout in the middle rounds. This year, Davis also claimed victory in a much-anticipated bout against Ryan Garcia, cementing his status as one of the top pound-for-pound fighters. Roach, 25-1-1, 10 KOs, enters this fight on a 6-fight winning streak since suffering his only career loss to Jamel Herring in 2019. His most notable win came in November, when he captured a world title by narrowly defeating Hector Luis Garcia via split decision. Greg Hackett discussed the personalities of Lamont Roach Jr. and Gervonta Davis, pointing out their differences. He described Roach as a calm, gentlemanly fighter who doesn't project an intimidating presence, even joking that Roach's laid-back demeanor might make it hard for him to scare opponents. Hackett humorously said that even if Roach tried, his eyes are green, light-skinned boy. He doesn't look like a super mean bull.
To the people who know Lamont and to the people who know boxing and been around, it's a good fight. But what is missing is that flair. Lamont isn't that type of guy. He a gentleman. He laid back. He ain't, even if, all right, Lamont the kind of guy, like, even if he tried to intimidate you, you wouldn't be fully intimidated because his eyes green, light skin bull. You know what I'm saying? He don't look like super mean bull. You feel what I'm saying? Tank got the tattoos, his eyes off a little bit. He look crazy. Like something wrong with it, you feel me?
On the other hand, Hackett emphasized that Davis exudes a more menacing and aggressive energy, with his tattoos and intense demeanor giving him an edge in intimidation, saying, "Tank has got the tattoos and his eyes are off a little bit. He looks crazy like there's something wrong with him." Hackett also discussed the significance of the fight, highlighting the local importance of the matchup between the two fighters. He explained that Roach and Davis share a history, which makes the fight a massive event for their local area, particularly in the DMV region, DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
We looking for another so-called big fight, when really honestly true, this is a good fight. Lamont Roach knows Tank Davis. Tank Davis knows Lamont Roach. It's a local fight. It's big for the part of town, DMV.
That shit is huge.
I say do it.
For the DMV.
I say do it. Massive.
He further explained, let's be real, they both fought Hector Garcia, the level of boxing. Tank only fought him like a year and a half ago. So then you got Lamont for him right after Tank. So that is the same level of boxing. Hackett acknowledged that while Roach may not have the same star power as fighters like Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney, this fight is still highly significant for the region. Eddie Hearn responded to the criticism surrounding Gervonta Davis's fight against Lamont Roach Jr., acknowledging that the fight isn't viewed as a major event, but defending it as not a terrible choice either. He explained that fans are criticizing the matchup mainly because they don't know Roach's capabilities, rather than understanding his talent. According to Hearn, people are expecting bigger, more dramatic fights from Davis, but many top fighters weren't available or declined, leaving Davis with limited options.
What do you think of the announcement of the Gervonta Davis-Roach fight?
I think that, you know, it's had a lot of criticism, but it's not a bad fight. You know, Lamont Roach is a world champion. He's smaller than Gervonta Davis. The problem is not many people are aware of who he is or his ability. But he can fight. I don't think it's a huge fight, but not a terrible one.
Haven Brady Jr. shared his thoughts on the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, initially surprised by the matchup. He didn't expect Davis to remain at 135 pounds, or Roach to move up in weight to face someone as skilled as Davis. He said, "My thing is when people fight Tank, it's a matter if they're scared or not. If you go in there scared, he sees the fear in you, and it's a matter of time before he takes you out." Brady believed that if Roach entered with confidence, the fight could be more competitive. He added, "So if Lamont Roach going now with the thing of he trying to win, he the best guy, then it could be a long night. But I'm definitely hopeful that fight can happen and hopefully that WBA 130 go vacate." Caleb Plant spoke highly of the upcoming Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, expressing his excitement for the East Coast matchup. He shared his respect for Roach, mentioning that they grew up together in the amateurs and have a strong history. Plant praised Roach not only as a great guy, but also as a highly skilled boxer, and he anticipated that the fight would be thrilling for fans.
I mean, it's an exciting fight, especially for the East Coast, and you know, Roach is a great fighter. Grew up with him in the amateurs, and you know, hell of a guy, hell of a boxer, so I think it'll be exciting.
Gervonta Davis's recent opponents have been notable names, showcasing his dominance in the lightweight division. In 2024, Davis knocked out Frank Martin in a convincing display of power, while in 2023, he won a highly publicized fight against Ryan Garcia, a top-tier contender. Before that, Davis went the distance with Isaac Cruz in 2021, a rare decision win due to a hand injury during the fight. In contrast, Lamont Roach's most significant fights include his 2023 win over Hector Luis Garcia and his 2019 loss to Jamel Herring, which remains his only defeat. Roach's experience, especially at a lower weight, sets him apart from Davis's heavier opposition. Calvin Ford discussed the long history between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr., emphasizing that their connection goes back to their amateur days, where they constantly competed against each other. This shared experience makes the fight more interesting as both fighters know each other's abilities. Ford praised Roach for always showing up to fight and highlighted how this history builds anticipation for their bout.
Oh man, they've been knowing each other from the amateurs, silver gloves, everything. They grew up actually together, you know. Roach and him back and forth battles and whatnot.
Ford defended Roach's decision to take the fight, addressing the critics who questioned why Roach was chosen. Ford believed that Roach stepping up was important, not just for the sport, but also for the community, adding that the fight would be an exciting one.
It's going to be a pretty interesting fight, you know what I'm saying, because Roach he come to fight, and I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about, oh, why Roach? Because he signed and took the fight, you know what I'm saying, and it's good for the community.
Calvin Ford reflected on the inevitable criticism surrounding fighters and their matchups, explaining that it's common for fans to voice negative opinions. He remembered similar reactions when people pushed for a rematch between Pitbull Cruz and Gervonta Davis, but once Davis won another title, the critics quieted down. Ford noted that he doesn't get involved in the outside noise and instead focuses on preparing Davis for his fights. Added, people going to do that, that's what fans do. You know they gonna give up bad criticism. I remember when I was saying everybody should let Pitbull fight Tank again. When he won that belt, boom. Ford explained that his main priority is keeping Davis focused and ready for the fight ahead. He emphasized that his job is to prepare Davis to put on a great performance, blocking out distractions and focusing solely on the task in front of them. He continued, I don't get involved with that. I just go ahead and just prepare him and get them ready to put on a great performance for the fans. We just focus on the fight in front of us. And that's the fight in front of us. Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. showcase contrasting styles that will be pivotal in their upcoming fight. Davis is known for his explosive power, sharp reflexes, and relentless pressure with a knockout-heavy record. He thrives on controlling the pace, closing the distance, and overwhelming opponents with his quick combinations and defensive sharpness. Roach, on the other hand, is a more tactical, patient fighter. With a solid boxing IQ, he relies on his ability to counterpunch, box from the outside, and capitalize on his opponent's mistakes. While Roach is not known for his power, his calculated approach has earned him success at a lighter weight. Mickey Bay praised Gervonta Davis for always delivering exciting performances and giving the fans what they want. He rejected the notion that Roach is a cherry pick, stating that Roach is a young, hungry champion and that the fight makes sense, especially given that both fighters are from the DMV area and share similar size. He said, Tank do his thing, man. I ain't gonna lie, like he closed the show and he give people what they want. You can't say it's a cherry pick cause dude is a young, hungry champion and it makes sense. They acknowledged that some fans wanted Davis to fight a different opponent, but emphasized that Roach has a good record and the matchup makes business sense. He also highlighted Davis's global popularity, noting that Davis might be the most exciting fighter to watch after Canelo Alvarez. He added, we wanted to see him with another fighter, but at the same time this one. You could say, alright, I'll take that. Dude got a good record, he champion. I think Tank, other than Canelo Tank, is probably maybe the most like fighter we people excited to see across the world. Mickey Bay shared his thoughts on Gervonta Davis, expressing confidence in Davis's ability to win his upcoming fight by stoppage. He acknowledged that Davis is at the peak of his career and believes it would take a highly skilled and crafty fighter such as Shakur Stevenson or Vasily Lomachenko to push him to go the full 12 rounds.
I see Tank by stoppage, man. You know, it's his time right now, man. It's gonna take, you know, somebody like a Shakur. I would have liked to see him with Lomachenko, but Loma, you know, I guess Loma didn't want that fight. So it's gonna take somebody real crafty to go them 12 rounds with Tank, because Tank is real. He on fire right now.
Davis's rise to stardom has seen many fighters avoid stepping into the ring with him. High-profile names like Vasily Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, and Devin Haney have been linked to potential matchups with Davis, but negotiations often fell through. Fighters have either priced themselves out of fights or declined, knowing the danger Davis poses in the ring. His reputation for knockouts and ability to dismantle opponents has made him one of the most avoided fighters in the division, with some viewing Davis as too much of a risk for a potential loss, even for top-tier opponents. This has left Davis facing lower-profile fighters at times, despite his desire to challenge the division's best. Gary Russell Jr. is a former WBC featherweight champion, known for his speed, precision, and technical skill. Despite his talent, he's been frustrated by missed opportunities for major fights, often calling out top competitors. In this case, Russell voiced his disappointment with Gervonta Davis for not arranging a fight with him, despite having each other's contact information. He felt that the fans were being misled by the narrative of Davis fighting someone from the same area, without facing a true top-tier local competitor like himself. He said, Tank ain't been in contact with me. I have contact information. They got mine, but the fans are the ones that's getting bamboozled by this goofy ass. Russell went on to criticize Davis for choosing to fight another local fighter, implying it was done for show rather than true competition. He felt Davis should be fighting someone with more standing and grit from their region, calling it out as a mismatched bout. He added, don't try to fight somebody from the city and make it seem like it's Baltimore versus the area when you really not fighting that mother dog from the area. This battle is not just about titles. It's a clash of two kings from different realms, one fierce and wild, the other calculated and swift. Davis's ferocity against Roach's finesse will decide who truly rules the ring. Who will come out on top in this highly anticipated clash? Gervonta Davis's explosive power or Lamont Roach's calculated strategy? With their long-standing rivalry and shared history, this fight promises to deliver excitement. Don't miss the chance to witness this epic showdown. Tune in and see if the underdog can pull off an upset.